Welcome into NFL Daily Live once again, as we are each Tuesday. I am Tom Downey, producer Chris behind the scenes on today's show. We had our power rankings earlier this morning. As promised, we are now live for all of the other things going on across the National Football League. The NFL trade deadline still a few weeks away, but there's one player already heavily being shopped. The Rams would like everybody to know you can have Cam Akers again, which is the second year in a row we've done this, which if I had a nickel for every time that Cam Akers was being publicly shopped before the trade deadline, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it's happened twice in 2 years. So will the Rams trade away Cam Akers? Y for yes, N for no. Again, they would love to find somebody. Will they find a trade partner? I do not know. I don't think we can guarantee it either from that perspective. So will they find a trade partner? Y for yes, N for no. Pretty clear it's Kyren Williams' job now, not Akers' job. And guys like Ronnie Rivers, etc., be some of the backups there. Will they trade him? Yes or no? Will Martin, the first one to answer with their yes. XD Gamer says yes. I'm sorry your Jags lost, my friend. The defense did its job, though. Disappointing offensive effort in the end. No from Vortex. Will Martin says Cleveland Browns. They are working out Kareem Hunt, but Browns are a logical destination for Akers, or visiting with Kareem Hunt, I should say. Corey says no. Shamari Peoples says yes. Barkley says yes. Raul says yes. Vortex says no. Keep the comments coming. Will the Rams end up trading away Cam Akers? Brew Crew 8788 says no. I don't think he's going to be long for LA. I am unconvinced they find a trade partner. There's already been salary difference. That's not why. He makes $1.4 million. It ain't salary. You're talking about saving less than $500,000. It ain't salary related. That's just not it. So sound off for me. Y for yes, N for no. Super chat coming in from Poppy Chulo Sits. We appreciate the super chat there, Poppy Chulo. We'll also make sure this gets in our mailbag, by the way. It says, fantasy help. Should I spend a ton on Jerome Ford, or is Hunt the guy? Let's institute a new rule for today's show only. I will drink for every super chat that comes in. So grab me one of them. It's one of the hard Mountain Dews. Makes it more fun. So every super chat, even just the $2 ones, I will drink for. I think go spend on Jerome Ford. As we sit here filming, Hunt has not signed. Also, remember this part too. The Browns chose Jerome Ford over Kareem Hunt. This is not about Hunt coming in and being the starter. This is about Hunt maybe being a slightly better option than Pierre Strong, or even a number 3 option in the backfield with Nick Chubb gone. I am convinced it's Jerome Ford's job. I have him in a guillotine league, which is super fun, by the way. It's last place eliminated each week. Also have him in my dynasty league. I'm not going to get him in my main league because I don't have the number 1 waiver claim, because our waivers reset each week based on standings. So even though I had the number 2 priority because I lost, didn't spend it. But I didn't get the player I wanted, or number 3, 4, whatever priority there. Every super chat I'll drink for. Bottoms up. Delicious. Thank you, Poppy Chulo Sits. I appreciate that, my friend. All right. Next question. It's also the pin poll on today's show. Is Justin Fields the guy for Chicago? Is he the franchise quarterback? Or are Bears fans going to get their hearts broken once again? Y for yes, N for no in the comment section. The pin poll, by the way, at 51% yes. I think these numbers would have looked very different if we'd asked it before week 1. I would have been above 70%, if not higher there. Shamari says no. Brew Crew says no. Will Martin says yes. Corey says yes. Andy says yes. I like Justin Fields a lot coming out of Ohio State. He has the arm strength. He has the athletic ability. I think there's 2 main things going on. Some coaching staff failures. I don't understand what Luke Getsy is doing. Why are you not designing run plays for Justin Fields? They did the exact same shit last year. Oh, we have this great athlete. Let's make him into a pocket passer. No. Use his legs. The Eagles using Hurts' legs. The Ravens are still using Lamar Jackson's legs. Use his legs. Win football games. What are you doing? Fields also, for himself, needs to be more decisive. I think he's trying to play too perfect. That leads to bad things. He's missing open guys. He won't pull the trigger. He takes too many sacks still. There's a lot more that he can do. He hasn't done yet. And there's a lot more that he isn't being asked to do. It's a failure of the player and the coaching staff, which is a big red flag for Chicago. 51% say yes, by the way. Williams says no. Eli says no as well. So keep the comments coming. Is Justin Fields the guy? It's technically 1 for yes, 2 for no. I think I misspoke. But, if you say Y or N, I know exactly what you mean as well. Let's have some fun on today's show. Put your trade ideas in the comment section. I will ask that you are at least somewhat semi-realistic with whatever you cook up in there. Take some time to think about it. We will, as part of today's live show, have, I think, 15 or is it 10? 15. 15 different trade candidates. Yes, Cam Akers is on there. We'll see if he ends up getting shopped or not before then. Wouldn't be the first time I have to edit a video in between live when it goes out. That's how it tends to go there. So put your trade ideas in the comment section. Barkley says Akers and a 7th for a 6th. I think that might be about the right value. Teams get to keep their pick, move up and around. I think you're on to something there, Barkley, with about the right value for Cam Akers. Again, this is twice now. In about a year's span, he's been available. Who wants him? Very strange. I don't know what the issue is in L.A. between Akers and McVay and that team or whatever, but he's clearly available at this stage. So keep your trade ideas coming in the comment section. Tariq Shell says Akers for a 6th that could become a 5th. Also, I think, reasonably fair. There's also some fantasy questions. If you have fantasy questions, you can throw them in by using hashtag NFL. You have fantasy questions, put them in, use hashtag NFL for our mailbag. Josh Prince says Akers and a 7th for a 6th from the Lions. I like the Lions being mentioned there. Don't know the severity of the David Montgomery injury. They say they did today, but they also promoted a guy, Bam Knight, to the active roster, which raises red flags for me. And Brad Holmes, Lions GM, was part of the regime that drafted Akers pretty early in L.A. DPJ and a 6th rounder for Cam Akers. I don't know if the Rams need another wide receiver, but I think that's probably a decent deal for the Rams, frankly. Let's see. Giants trade their whole team for their daddy, Micah Parsons. Brew Crew, Mike Evans to the Packers for a 3rd. If Green Bay wants to get aggressive, add a receiver to pair with Christian Watson once he's healthy, whenever that is. Don't hate that one. But if the Bucs are winning football games, as they've been doing so far, they will not sell. So let's keep an eye on Tampa moving forward. All right, shout out your favorite team in the comments section. Who's repping who? I see TKG. I know you're a Cowboys fan. I know XD Gamer is a Jags fan. I almost started to drink from our alcohol. I'll drink for every super chat that comes in. Only one so far, though. Patriots from Shamari Peoples. I appreciate that, Shamari. I'm guessing Brew Crew's a Packers fan. Because Brew Crew, I assume, refers to the Brewers. So, Browns in Cleveland, back-to-back. There's a crying face there from I Got Game 12. Bears is in there. Eli, Rams, Browns, Packers, Jets, Bears, Cowboys. Bengals is in there. Chargers as well. Niners, Chulor. Cowboys in there for waiting. Seahawks. Keep your favorite team coming in the comments section. Eagles from Yodan? I'm not sure how to pronounce it there. Cowboys from Ragnarok as well. Keep it coming. I also want you guys to spam 24 in the comments section today. Nick Chubb, a heartbreakingly brutal injury in that Browns-Steelers Monday Night Football game. Now, I'm glad they did not show the injury. I don't think we need to make a spectacle out of every bad injury that happens. And there's also a bad history of showing it 8 times in a row, and I just don't want to see it anymore. It's just kind of over the top there. What happened if you didn't see it is Chubb's getting contacted. He's kind of starting to go down. Minka comes in low, and basically Minka goes into the leg, and the foot stays as the rest of the body falls over Minka. So his knee just bent in like that. It was really gross. It's a very bad injury. His season's over. It's going to be a long time to recover that from. Hopefully he's good to go next year, but it's going to be a long recovery for Nick Chubb, unfortunately. It's probably going to be a multi-ligament injury, maybe even a leg fracture mixed in there as well, because the knee and the leg aren't supposed to bend that far inward there. So I see a lot of 24s. I really do appreciate that in the comment section. Clayton, Eli, Joseph, I Got Game, Renee, Bighorn. It's awesome, guys. Thank you. Now, we had 102 likes last week. Now, we've only got 100 people watching live right now. That number is going to grow as we get going because we always give people time to click the noti, etc. So like the video if you haven't already done so. Our goal is always to get to half of the audience. So I'll put 30 seconds on the clock here. If we can get to 50 likes, I'll keep drinking. It's fine, right? It is 5 o'clock East Coast, so we're covered. Just turned 5 o'clock East Coast. So get the likes in there. Got to get to 50, and I'll do a big old chug of, by the way, this is not me being much of a man, but I do like the hard Mountain Dews, not a sponsor, are actually super good. They're better than the seltzers. I don't care for like 90% of the seltzers. This is kind of like a better version of the seltzers. So get the likes in there. If we get to 50 in the next 20 seconds here, I'll do a big old chug out of our hard Mountain Dew. Only at 38, though. I don't know if we're going to get there. We shall see. Keep the likes coming, folks, here on NFL Daily Live. Here's what's coming up on today's show. We have the latest NFL news and rumors. Quite a bit of general takeaways from week 2. Trying something different there. Trade candidates, by the way. We'll go through 15 different players who could be shot between now and the trade deadline, focused in more on some of the bigger names. An NFL mailbag. Get your questions in via hashtag NFL or by doing what Papi Chulo Sits did, by super chatting. I'll start doing drinks for every super chat that we get in. And we have, by the way, it's just hashtag NFL. You don't have to spell it National Football League. We're making it easy on you. Hashtag NFL. If you have fantasy questions, that's fine too. You can throw your fantasy questions in there. I have no issues answering those, I promise you. And we'll run through some 2024 NFL draft risers. All of that is coming up here live on NFL Daily. I hope you enjoy today's show. Let's get into it with the latest on Cam Akers. The Rams, again, are trying to trade Cam Akers away. Now, a trade of Cam Akers in general isn't that shocking or whatever, but if I had a nickel for every time that Cam Akers was being publicly shopped before the trade deadline, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it's happened twice. He was inactive in week 2. Kyren Williams' breakout season is here, apparently. Akers went from being the starter to, he's out of favor now. Bye. See ya. It's been an odd career so far for Akers. His numbers in week 1 were not very good. He kind of came in garbage time, so you played Akers, you got bailed out by the touchdown run, basically. Otherwise, a very disappointing performance there. He got better down the stretch in 2022. He did. 4.2 yards per carry after a bit of a slow start. Had the bad Achilles injury. Was very solid in 2020. Supposed to be a breakout year. Been a weird career for him. He's never really gotten to be the guy. It's just been odd so far for Cam Akers. Now, there are teams that make sense, whether via trade or in the event he's cut. There was a report that linked the Raiders to Cam Akers, which, interesting, would I think be kind of weird from that organizational front. The Browns make sense with Nick Chubb, unfortunately, out for the year. The Lions, that regime, Brad Holmes, their GM, drafted Akers in L.A., was part of that regime, I should say. David Montgomery's banged up. The Giants are battling a Saquon Barkley injury. The Ravens have lost J.K. Dobbins. The Colts are having their weird Jonathan Taylor stuff. And if the Rams keep winning, couldn't you see Taylor going to the Rams, them being crazy aggressive once again, which would be, I think, a bit out of their current MO, but they've done it before, done it in the past. The Dolphins get linked to every back, and the Bucs are a little bit thin behind Rashaad White. The big thing to remember here is the trade value is low. Running backs don't get moved for much these days. And I would not rule out him getting cut. Now, there was already one report saying it was maybe because of salary reasons. He's owed $1.45 million. We're talking about like less than $500,000 difference between that and the vet minimum. I don't think $500,000 is the reason why he would get cut instead. That feels like an excuse for the Rams leaking their trade interest when there hasn't actually been that much. And that's publicly available because the Rams want someone to trade for him. Maybe someone will step up. I am uncertain if that will end up happening. I think he'll find the new team soon, but if it is a trade, I think it's a late day 3 pick at best. So will the Rams trade Cam Akers? Y for yes, N for no. It's the pinned comment on today's show. So if the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. Let's talk 5 big stories then from exiting week 2, going into week 3. Unfortunately, kind of a 2-parter here in Cleveland. The heartbreaking news was that Nick Chubb's season is over. A nasty, gruesome knee injury. Kind of got a little bit high-low to a certain extent, was going down. Minkah Fitzpatrick went low on the knee. The foot got caught underneath Minkah, and the knee bent over as he fell over, and the knee didn't bend that way. It's never supposed to. It's probably going to be a multi-ligament tear. It's bad for Nick Chubb. He's going to miss the rest of the season. It's a heartbreaking development from a damn good football player. So show Nick Chubb some love by spamming 24 in the comment section right now. Send some good vibes his way as he's having a second one of his career, dating back to Georgia. Horrific knee injury. Now, Deshaun Watson, meanwhile, who, unlike Nick Chubb, I have no love for, Massage Boy is a problem in Cleveland. Not like that, but on the field. 55.1% completion rate through 2 games. He's offered some good dual threat ability, 67 yards scrambling, 3 touchdowns, 4 turnovers. I did get to catch some of the all-22 of Watson, and he's just not seeing the field. He's missing open throws. He's not being accurate. The guy you remember in Houston, who I thought was overrated, has not even been that guy in Cleveland. Frankly, Deshaun Watson's been a liability both this year and last year in Cleveland. With Nick Chubb out, if he wants to run that more air raid style attack, this is going to be his chance because he's going to have to carry them now. And I think the Browns can see what they have. There is, unless he can flip that switch, real concern around Watson's just impact in Cleveland going forward and the regime that made the move for him. If Watson ain't in after all they gave up, they're all getting fired. And they're not getting a shot at being an NFL GM ever again. Now, today's show is made possible by OddsR. They are not a sports book, but they are the sports betting advisor in your pocket. Download the app today, sign up for an account, and let the latest data analysis guide you through today's point spreads, money lines, and over-unders. The app's pretty straightforward. Look through all the games you might want to bet on, and it's the classic red, green, yellow system, right? If you see green, that is a smart bet. I see green on the Bills-Jets over-under from week 1. Well, guess what ended up hitting? It was the under that hit. The green nailed it. If you see yellow, you're kind of on your own. Trust your gut, whatever. If you see red, don't do it. It's not a great bet. Avoid it. Find the ones that have better value elsewhere. Steelers, Browns, I think all red ended up being pretty good. That was a weird game. It didn't make any sense. The Steelers had negative yards in the 4th quarter, and they pulled off a comeback. Have that make sense. So the red was absolutely right from that one. The Panthers, Saints, the under was the value. They nailed that one. And they are giving you a free or a special deal for being an NFL Daily listener and watcher. First 30 days of your app are free. Just go to oddsr.com/NFL Daily to download the app. That's oddsr.com/NFL Daily. 30 days free of the app. Links in the comments and the description of today's show. 5 big stories from week 2. Number 2. Let's sound the concern alarm for Justin Fields, the Bears, and the Bears fan base. There's a lot to unpack here with Fields. 2 big things. Number 1, he's struggled. That's the overarching thing, right? Why has he struggled? Well, he's not seeing the field that well. He's missing open guys. But it's not just on Fields, taking sacks and missing players and not just looking comfortable out there. I think offensive coordinator Luke Getsy has done a terrible job. Why are you not calling designed runs? Why? Are you not trying to win? You have a great athlete at quarterback. Does it make sense? Let him use his legs. The Ravens are not asking Lamar Jackson to only be a power passer. He's doing more of it, but he's still running. Let Fields run. Like that's honestly organizational malpractice to not let Justin. He's 1 designed run, I believe, through the first 2 games. What are we doing out there, fellas? That doesn't make sense. Justin, you got to get rid of the football still. His big issue last year, as dynamic as he was scrambling, he took too many sacks. That is still there. He has to speed up his process. I don't think he trusts what he's seeing. I don't think there's good coordination between the coaching staff and the quarterback, and that leads to a slower process. They got to get it figured out. I don't trust Getsy. I don't trust Fields right now. That is a very real problem for Chicago because they keep losing. They're going to be in quarterback range. It should be the Getsy and Fields should be tied at the hip. One's back or both are back or neither are back, unless Fields can show some progress if they fire Getsy mid-year. Otherwise, got to make some changes there. So is Justin Fields the guy? 1 for yes, 2 for no. Sound off in the comments. Number 3 big story, Joe Burrow re-aggravated that calf injury. Now, the Bengals will not practice until Thursday instead of Wednesday like normal, at least open to the media, because they play on Monday Night Football. So we're going to have to wait and see what that holds for Joe Burrow after he re-injured that calf. He said he would have gone back in the game. Head coach Zach Taylor says, it's too early to tell. We'll wait and see. That's a big storyline for a struggling 0-2 Bengals squad. Now you can get daily NFL content right here for free. All you have to do is subscribe. It's that simple. Hit that sub button for us right now. Number 4, how about the rookie quarterback play? The big 3, right? CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson. As a passer, I think pretty clearly, Stroud has been the better option. Now, he's thrown it more because Houston's been down a lot more so far, but there's still room for growth. But he has 626 yards. He's averaging over 300 yards per game. It's really good. He's just been throwing it a lot because they've been down. Bryce Young, I don't love what Carolina's doing on offense. You're not doing a great job of protecting him with kind of a shaky offensive line thus far. Your receivers look old and slow. That's not good. I think the Panthers have to bring in some of the gimmicky RPO style stuff to make the offense function as it is currently built right now. Anthony Richardson, okay as a passer, has had some electric runs and would have put up better numbers had he not gotten hurt early against in week 2, which was a pretty big red flag from that perspective. 75 yards on the ground. Richardson has shown some higher level stuff. I think he's been pretty solid there. Bit worried about Bryce Young. Stroud has been decent. They've been up and down. There's no, RG3 rookie year player so far. Who do you think has been the best quarterback so far this year? CJ for CJ Stroud, BY for Bryce Young, AR for Anthony Richardson. Sound off for me. Where else but the comment section? Number 5, the Mahomes deal has been adjusted. We were going to have the updated top 10 highest paid quarterbacks, which doesn't really work because we always base that on APY, average per year, which technically isn't changing. What the Chiefs have done basically is taken a bunch of the money at the back end of Mahomes' deal and put it up into this time frame. He's getting $210.6 million, all of which is fully guaranteed, by the way, which is a massive figure for that 4-year time frame. over the next 4 years. So he's getting all $52.65 million in the next 4 years. You treat it like that, he's right alongside the Joe Burrows, Lamar Jacksons, etc. It's a lot of money. It's Patrick Mahomes. It's kind of worth it. He gets the raise, the bump up, does create some cap space, as it always should have done for KC. So they'll adjust it again in 4 years. The Mahomes deal continues to be kind of an outlier, all things considered, at the quarterback spot. Now, who has been the most impressive team so far this season? Sound off for me in the comments section. Most impressive team. Not necessarily best, just most impressive. You can, relative to expectations, that's fine. Cowboys, Niners. Those are the top 2 teams in our power rankings this week, so I think that makes sense. What else we got in here? Get your comments in. The Commanders, again, relative to expectations, I don't hate it. Tampa, the Commanders, Buccaneers again. Tampa's been pretty solid. Again, expectations, they were pretty low for them in Washington. I don't think they're a top 5 team or anything. I don't think even Bucs or Commanders fans would believe that, but they've started the year 2-0. Not everyone thought they would. The Rams, they've been very competitive. I don't mind that one. Chargers, they just can't finish. But that's kind of the thing with them. They don't finish very well. That's kind of more of the same. The Rams, again, from Vince. I try to warn people. The Matthew Stafford, I thought they'd have Cooper Kupp, which they didn't. He's going to throw him into football games. Watch him do it in Detroit, the better coaching staff now in LA. I'm not sure they make the playoffs. I think they're going to contend for it. The Cowboys are in there as well. I'd say Cowboys and Niners have been your 2 best teams through 2 games. Niners, bit better competition. Cowboys, bit more dominance, all things considered. Commanders and Bucks are in there. Tampa is in there again. Keep the comments coming as we move on to the second segment of today's NFL Daily Live. Before we get into some of my top trade candidates, I want to hear from you guys. Name a player who you think ends up getting traded before, of course, the NFL trade deadline. Lots of names you can go with, so sound off for me in the comments section. 15 trade candidates. First up, the obvious one, Cam Akers. The Rams are publicly shopping him again, which is it's kind of weird it's happened twice. I thought he was going to be the guy over Kyren Williams. We all take misses, folks. And Akers is fallen out of favor. The Rams have told every team, he's available. Come get him. Allegedly, teams have called. I think there's a chance he ends up getting cut. We'll see if that ends up happening or not. He doesn't make that much money. He's got like an under $1.5 million base salary. Super cheap. Not an issue. Akers, very much, though, on the trade block. Dark horse name, how about Rashaad Penny? I was convinced that a healthy Rashaad Penny was going to thrive in the Eagles' offense. Well, it's been DeAndre Swift and Kenny Gainwell. So Eagles don't have that much depth at running backs. Maybe they prefer to keep him. But maybe a team with some injuries at running back gets a bit desperate and says, we'll give you a 7th rounder or something for Rashaad Penny. Jonathan Taylor. Yeah, you knew he was going to be on this one. Everyone knew Taylor would be on this list. The Colts had, to be fair, a stupid asking price for Taylor. Asking for Christian Watson from the Packers or Jalen Waddle from the Dolphins. Be realistic. You're not getting a premier young potential number 1 wide receiver for a running back that you don't want to pay right now. That doesn't make sense for organizations. Now, Taylor's a very good football player. And depending on what happens over at least the next 2 games before Taylor can conceivably come back from his pup-less stint, maybe Indy bottoms out, loses their next 2. Maybe AR's season continues to be fun and electric, and they're 2-2 or 3-2. Ian Rappaport said they expect to have trade talks again, but the Colts have to drop their asking price. Maybe they can get a 2 or a 3. They're not getting a premier player back in exchange, however, for Taylor. So will the Colts trade Jonathan Taylor? Y for yes, N for no in the comment section. It is today's pinned comment, so if the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and go vote. The Raiders actually have several players on this list, and by the way, for all players mentioned, it assumes their role stays small, gets smaller, or their team is bad. That's what happens with the Raiders here. What's going on in Vegas with Hunter Renfrow? He's due $6.5 million in salary. He has one target on 39 snaps this season. That is Hunter Renfrow, who we're not that far removed, as I double-check my notes here, Renfrow being a 1,000-yard receiver. Josh McDaniels comes in and goes, I don't want him getting the football. I get he's a slot only, but we've seen McDaniels work with slot guys, and I get Jacoby Myers and Adams get slot reps too. Like, I don't understand how Renfrow has one target through 2 games on under 40 snaps. That does not make sense to me. Free Renfrow somewhere else. Zach Ertz, next up on our list. That is the Cardinals tight end. Ertz has not been bad. His salary does need to get figured out. That's kind of one of the big issues here in the contract negotiation or the trade potential negotiations. You'd want to free up snaps for your younger tight ends out there. But Ertz has an almost, including roster bonus, about a $9 million salary. Teams don't want to pay that. Arizona have to eat money. You get a pick back for him and free up Trey McBride snaps. I think that actually might be a win-win if Arizona continues to not win football games. How about Jameis Winston? You know, Jameis Winston has actually kind of settled into one of the funner spots of being an NFL player. You're just the trusted backup. Like, it's Winston. He's our backup. He's good. Don't have to do anything. You know, it's Blue Mountain State. You have the backup quarterback job. You're living life. But he might be an upgrade over Zach Wilson, right? By the way, Winston is making basically the vet minimum in terms of base salary. Very affordable contract to go trade for. Now, today's show is made possible by GameTime. I know producer Chris is not a planner, although he did buy your tickets for Friday a little bit earlier, but he used GameTime for his comedy show he's going to go to. Whatever you're going to, comedy or sports, maybe for most people watching right now, use GameTime because buying tickets to your favorite events should not be stressful. And GameTime is giving you $20 off when you use promo code NFLChat. You don't have to plan months in advance anymore. You can get tickets right up to the day of the event. They've got deals for them, exclusive flash deals on tickets for whatever football, basketball, baseball, concerts, whatever you're going to. GameTime is the spot to go. You'll get images of your seats, you know, when you arrive. And as you pull that up, by the way, you can just take your phone and just move it left, move it right, and it's kind of a live photo. It'll show you what your seat actually looks like, and you're not ended up being the one guy who's blocked off because there's stadium around you and you can't actually see anything, which maybe you saw trending on Twitter. They take care of you with GameTime. Download the GameTime app today at GameTime.co. Create an account and use code NFLChat for $20 off your first purchase. Just go to your profile after you create your account. It's in the bottom right corner. Click the redeem code section. Just type in NFLCHAT. Hit redeem code. Boom. $20 in your account. You'll save some money. Now, terms apply, but create that account. Redeem code NFLChat for $20 off. Download GameTime today for last-minute tickets. The lowest price, all guaranteed. Links in the comments section and in the description of today's show. Chandler Jones is on here, which I almost didn't, because I think there's more going on than just football stuff with Chandler Jones. I think that the Raiders handling of that kind of indicates it. I kind of get some of the earlier Everson Griffin vibes from the Vikings when like he was just kind of in a bad place mentally. I hope that's not the case with Chandler Jones. I hope he's doing okay. It's been the weird off-the-field drama. If that gets sorted out, maybe a new destination makes sense for him. There's a lot of weird stuff to figure out. Raiders don't save very much money, by the way, with a trade. Derek Barrnett, Eagles have kind of said they're open to shopping him if they can find the right destination, trade, whatever. Hasn't played that much. Was coming off the ACL injury last year. the sack numbers have never been that great. He kind of fell out of favor with a really good Eagles pass rushing unit around side of him. Former first-round pick. If a team needs a pass rusher late in the year because of injuries, or I should say late in the trade deadline process, Derek Barrnett makes a lot of sense for Philly. Folks, we are live every Tuesday right here on Chat Sports NFL Daily. Make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss out. Now, you knew Chase Young would be on here, but that would require the Commanders to bottom out. Right now, they ain't trading him. They're only going to do it if they're bad and the call comes in from above the head coach, because Ron Rivera is coaching for his job this year. New ownership, right? We have seen some fun flashes so far out of Chase Young. The raw numbers don't stand out that much from 2022. He didn't have a sack. 2021, it was a sack and a half. He has already exceeded, this year alone, his production. His first 3 years, he had 9 sacks total, right? That's what you see on screen. In 2023, he's already had a sack and a half. So in the 12 games he played 2022 and 2021, he's beaten that figure. He's at 1.5 already. Great first game from Chase Young, and looked a little bit more like the guy the Commanders thought they were going to get and the guy we saw in his rookie season back in 2020. Those stats, again, entering the season. Only played 1 game so far this year. So put your realistic, somewhat realistic at least, trade ideas in the comments section. Who you see getting dealt? Sound off right now. How about former second-round pick Andrew Booth? I don't think he's that good of a player, but he is a former second-rounder. Those guys tend to have value. He is buried on the Vikings depth chart. I think a fresh start is needed. Andres Pete, who got a pretty big deal a few years ago, is not starting in New Orleans. I tried to find an offensive lineman. I don't think Pete's that good. I think Saints fans would probably agree with me. But if you're trying to find somebody out there along the offensive line, Pete's a name that maybe you could find a way to acquire. Mike Evans, again, this requires Tampa to bottom out, which so far they've been pretty good. And the last 4 names on this list are big-time names, but it does require their teams to not be nearly as good. The last 4 seasons, again, before this year, Mike Evans had put up 1,000 yards each and every single season. He is already up to 237 this season, 2 touchdowns. You guys can do math. He is well on his way to trending towards getting over 1,000 yards again. Weird quirk on Evans' deal. If he leaves in free agency, the most the Bucs can get, I lose a 5th-round comp pick, regardless of the money, because he's an established older veteran. It's a weird CBA rule. So if the Bucs start to struggle, I do think he could be traded. But maybe they're not going to struggle in the near future. So what will the Bucs end up doing with Mike Evans? I think we have a very different conversation. They didn't begin the year 2-0 right now. T for trade, K for keep. Derrick Henry is next up here. Again, the last 3 names are big names based on what happens if they end up getting shopped. Derrick Henry, for the most part, has been a highly productive football player every single year, and the most part years are kind of what we're at now. Yards per attempt for Derrick Henry after the 5 yards per carry years of 2019, 2020, 4.3, 4.4. Small sample size right now. It's down to 3.6. The only way the Titans trade him in the final year of his contract is if they really start to struggle and suck, and Mike Vrabel says, let's just get some assets back. I think it's highly unlikely, but I did want to make note of it as a big-name option. Aaron Donald, again, if the Rams are terrible the rest of the way, maybe he gets shopped. I know plenty of other NFL teams would want him and Evans and Henry, etc., but the Rams might be just competitive enough to hold on to Aaron Donald. And then our bonkers name, Davante Adams. Again, this absolutely requires a scenario in which the Raiders go, we suck. Let's tank for Caleb Williams. We'll dump the Jimmy Garoppolo contract as best we can. If the Raiders bottom out, you will at least see the rumors of Davante Adams trade. I'm sure the Jets would have been on that list. Now they're not. The Saints will be on that list because Derek Carr connection. And the contract isn't that bad. It's roughly $6.5 million minus whatever how many games are left of the contract for the base salary. That's affordable for anybody. Now, if I were the Raiders, I would not trade away Davante Adams. I don't think that they do. But if the Raiders get to the trade deadline, they win like one more game in their next 5, it is technically possible from a contract perspective. Although I don't think the Raiders will do it. I would not do it. But I promise you, you will hear those rumors, ideas, theories if the Raiders start to struggle. Who is the most disappointing team in the NFL so far? By the way, we're at 62 likes. If we get to 69 right now, I'll chug some of my beer. Or a hard soda. I don't even know what to call this. Hard alcohol? Cocktail? Malt beverage. Okay. It's a malt liquor, I guess, technically speaking. Like that video. Let's get to 69 likes, folks. Bengals is a good answer there, Rashaad Lee. Bears, a good answer as well for the most disappointing team thus far in the NFL season. Cardinals, I think the Cardinals have been exceeding expectations so far. We knew they were going to be bad, and they've been competitive. Broncos, it's a good one. What else we got there? Bears, Broncos, it's fair. One like away. There it is. Chiefs, Giants, that's fair. We have a super chat, by the way, from Rashaad Lee, which we'll save for the mailbag. Let's do that. We'll save it for the mailbag. I'll drink for it now. I will drink for any super chats that come in until this is gone. So get your supers in because it's mailbag time coming up here. 2 ways to get on the show. Get your questions in, whether they're real life or fantasy football, that's fine. I have no issues either way. Hashtag NFL or super chat like Rashaad Lee and Poppy Chulo sit. We'll hit both of those on the mailbag here, so cheers. Get your questions in. Hashtag NFL or super chat to get on the show. If you don't use hashtag NFL, producer Chris can't find your questions, and then they get buried and they don't get answered. So get your questions in via super chat or hashtag NFL. A $5 super chat coming in here from Poppy Chulo Sits. Fantasy help. Should I spend a ton on Jerome Ford or is Hunt the guy? By the way, we filmed this on Tuesday, so before waiver wire. The video goes out on man later, but it is answered on Tuesday before it. Spend on Ford. Remember, the Browns already chose Jerome Ford over Kareem Hunt once this past offseason. They said bye, Kareem. They didn't bring him back. They did bring him in for a workout. As of filming, he has not been signed. Certainly would not be a surprise if he does get picked up. But Ford is going to be the Nick Chubb role from last year. Maybe Hunt/Pierre Strong at the other roles. Ford's not as good, but yes, you should spend, if you're doing the fab budget, spend big on Jerome Ford. Spend that waiver claim on Ford as well. Rashaad Lee, Jonathan Taylor to the Ravens or the Chiefs. I kind of think the Chiefs are in okay shape at running back. You know, between Isaiah Pacheco, etc., I think they're fine there. The Ravens could survive, but it'd be a fun addition for Lamar Jackson as well. I think the Taylor trade rumors shall return. It's a matter of, do the Colts lower their asking price? Because so far, they've asked for ridiculous returns. Now, maybe Sky Moore would be viable as a return piece there for the Colts, but the Ravens, the Colts would be asking for like Dolphins. Colts would be asking for like Zay Flowers based on their previous moves, which is not going to happen. They have to lower their asking price. All right, Chualor. Is Anthony Brown a good pickup for the 49ers? Look, I think it's fine. Like, I'm not concerned about that one. Anthony Brown, if he's like your number 4-ish corner, you'll be fine. He's a solid veteran. He's not a superstar player. The Cowboys defense missed him when he wasn't out there after his injury last year. I don't know how much he has left. I don't know where he is post-Achilles injury. I think he's a fine fit for what the Niners want to do on defense. If he's your 4th-ish corner, 3rd on the outside, not including nickel, I think that's fine. From Pine Fall Bumby, and Paul, Bum doesn't have a B in it. It's just Paul Fine Bumby. There's an extra B in there. Paul, at his username, that's hilarious. Who will save Kyle Pitts and trade for him? The answer is nobody. I think every fan base, minus like 5, are like, how much for Kyle Pitts? The Falcons' offense, despite Desmond Ridder being a very weird quarterback to watch, like looks great one drive, awful the next, especially early in games. It's really bad early in games. The Falcons' offense is actually good. Like they do a good job of moving the football. They're efficient. They get Bijan Robinson involved. They run it with the best of anybody. They just don't throw it to Pitts or Drake London. I don't understand how Mac Hollins is among their leading targeters. I do not understand for the life of me. Maybe it's Ritter's fault or Arthur Smith's fault. But the Falcons are contenders-ish. And they're not great at NFC South. Like, they're not going to trade him away. I'd be shocked, frankly. So what do you think happens? Will the Falcons trade Kyle Pitts? Y for yes, N for no. Sound off for me in the comment section right now at the pinned comment of today's show. RGQ, who to start this week? Waller versus San Francisco or Hunter Henry against the New York Jets? I'm a little scared. I don't like the matchup for Darren Waller against the 49ers. I know that like you'd be like, oh, it's Darren Waller. And you draft him to start, right? I get all that. I would probably, and I can't remember saying this, I would lean towards Hunter Henry, especially in a PPR league. Especially in a PPR league. I would take Hunter Henry over Darren Waller. I think I am probably alone in that one, but I'm just a little bit anxious about Fred Warner and company really shutting down Waller and just not having much success. I think you'll see Henry get PPR, a lot of catches, a lot of targets. So I'll take Henry in PPR, Waller in standard, because if everyone's going to have a big touchdown play, it'll probably be Waller. So different answers for different scoring. GM Evan Hinders, Clyde Edwards-Helaire to Miami for a 4th. Way too much for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He had 1 carry yesterday. He's got 10 touches all year long. He's barely worth a 7th rounder, if that. I don't think you're going to see Edwards-Helaire go for much of anything. That was simply put it was a mispick by the Chiefs because running backs don't put you over the top. Dolphins are a bit thin at running back. I get that. Maybe makes some sense, but not for a 4th round selection. Have you ever wished you could navigate the battlefield with confidence of a pro in terms of betting, sports betting? Enter OddsR. They are not a sports book, but they are the sports betting advisor you've always. It's like having a playbook for smarter bets right in your pocket. I've been loving the experience. I think you will too. NFL Daily listeners get a free 30-day trial when you go to oddsr.com/NFL Daily. Elevate your game day and join the smart betting revolution. The app is very straightforward to need. Go through the games you're thinking about picking. You'll see some of the ones from last Monday Night Football. Just like the stoplight, right? Green means go, bet on it. They were right with their green pick. Panthers, Saints, under. It hits. Red means nope, don't bet. Don't like the numbers behind it. Too risky. Yellow means we lean this way, but we're not as confident in it. A lot of red means no, let's not place that bet. You can whittle down your pool of possible bets and take the most efficient ones in the process. I'm a big fan of what OddsR offers. You will be as well. So go get it at oddsr.com/NFL Daily. That's for a 30-day free trial. The link is in the comments section and the description of today's show. From Zombie Man, I might be wrong, but I've been thinking since McDaniel came from the Shanahan system, he's trying to turn Eric Ezukanma into Deebo Samuel 2.0. The last 2 games, he's been in the running back slot. I think McDaniel's trying to get Ezukanma the ball in creative ways. I don't think they love him as a route runner, but you saw it in the preseason too, right? He was super explosive once he had the ball. Mike McDaniel is an absolute mad scientist when it comes to his designs and play calling, and I'm a huge fan of it. Maybe not quite full-on Deebo 2.0, but I think creative ways to get your playmakers the ball is always a good thing. A super chat from Rashaad Lee, $2. Any bold predictions for any AFC team this season? Dolphins win the AFC East. Maybe not as bold with what we've seen through 2 games, but Bills have been bad week 1, great week 2. Patriots are going to be kind of okay-ish. They'll be competitive. I don't trust the Jets without Aaron Rodgers, so Dolphins win the AFC East and maybe get that number 1 seed even. From Brandon B., should the Jets trade for Kirk Cousins? The contract is a huge, huge problem here in terms of a trade involving Kirk Cousins, which I feel like oftentimes, many in sports media don't get how the contracts work. They have a tough time understanding it. Now, $10 million base salary isn't that bad, but it is still kind of sizable for Kirk Cousins. It makes more financial sense than Ryan Tannehill does. If Minnesota continues to lose football games, I could see it. And Minnesota could do a quick tank for like a Caleb Williams or a Drake May or whoever. I don't hate that idea. And the Jets with Kirk Cousins, they'd be a playoff team. Now, they might come up short again, but it'd be a cheaper 1-year rental of your big-name trade ideas for the Jets at quarterback. I do think Kirk Cousins makes the most sense, but the financial number is at least a little bit tricky, although it would save the Vikings a little bit of money. Being somewhat realistic here, put your trade ideas in the comments section right now. Bonus points if they're really good, but the 2's line, the points don't matter, so sound off either way. Vince, first impressions from the first-round rookie QBs, whether they're separating himself from the others, positively or negatively. I like what I've seen from Anthony Richardson. Still has some of those just scattershot accuracy moments. Can't get himself concussed. Stroud's been up and down. I am kind of worried about the Frank Reich era in Carolina. I don't know why they traded away DJ Moore. Like, they desperately need a DJ Moore caliber receiver. Like, they don't even have a Tank Dell, Nico Collins receiver. It's old-ass Adam Thielen out there. I don't love it in Carolina. I'm a little bit anxious about that spot. I think they have to get more creative. Let Bryce Young be that whip arm, quick passer. If I had to rank them, probably would rank them Richardson, Stroud, Young, but none of them have truly emerged like, yep, that's the guy. None of them quite yet. Now, if you want daily NFL content for free, you've come to the right spot. Hit that sub button. We've got free NFL videos each and every single day right here on the channel. Shock Universe, the Patriots trade Mac Jones. No. You need this year to evaluate him. They've been better with Bill O'Brien. That was a very low bar to clear. I think they're still working through some of their issues, but unless their plan is to tank right now, then no. Keep Mac Jones, evaluate him, see what you have, and then make a decision at the end of the season. Cameron Brigling, I think the Chiefs receiving core outside of Kelsey will be the worst this season. I do not think so. First off, I will get this point too. The Chiefs have invested a lot in that wide receiver room. They paid MVS. They drafted Sky Moore. They traded a decent draft pick for Kadarius Toney. They've put some assets in that room. I think they have to play better. You would think it'd be easier with Mahomes at quarterback. Apparently not for whatever reason. I am not impressed by Carolina's passing game. I don't think those receivers are very good. They're not the worst in Kansas City, but I also think if we're taking away your best playmaker, it's a lot of teams that would also be in a pretty dicey situation. From Donnie, what's up with Leonard Fournette? He just might not be that good anymore. The signs of regression were there. There were whispers of him not being in shape. So I wouldn't assume that Fournette can save. I know the fans people go, where's Fournette? He ain't that good, guys. Like, I know people who have hoarded Leonard Fournette all season in fantasy. Doesn't make sense. Wasn't that good. Saw it with Kareem Hunt, who has, of course, Browns, etc. Like, it's just weird to me. So name a free agent who you want your favorite team to sign. Not the best options here in the middle of September, but drop a name for me if you can think of one. Dan F. if the Bears draft a quarterback in the 2024 draft, what would be, I think this means Justin Fields' best fits for him to be traded to? Seahawks, Falcons, other. I would love to see him in Atlanta. I think Arthur Smith would design a much more complimentary football game for Justin Fields if the Bears took a quarterback early in the Falcons, won like 7-8 games, and Ritter was the reason why. I think Atlanta would be an awesome landing spot for Fields. Robert Bruce, is it encouraging if the Patriots lost 2 one-score games? Should they be concerned? Pros and cons. They should have beat the Eagles, man. They had 2 prime chances, and they could not convert on them. That was disappointing. Make no mistake about it. But you've been competitive. Going to have to do better. So you're promising, but still room for growth. So not panicking, but knowing you need more as well. All right, shout out your favorite team for me in the comments section. I owe one more beer. Cheers for Rashaad Lee. Our like high last week was 102 on our live show. If we get to 102 now, I will finish the beer. How about that? Christian, why hasn't anyone signed Jarvis Landry? Because he's bad. Like, just to be blunt, he's not good anymore. Like, he has not been the guy that you remember at his prime in Miami for a while. I dropped my pen, sorry. He doesn't offer you much of anything anymore. Favorite team, I see Bear down, Niners. I see Falcons or Bears South anyway. Thanks, Pace. It's funny. Get the comments coming here. Favorite team. We'll give some shout-outs as these flow in. I know Robert Bruce is a Patriots fan. Rashaad Lee, Lyle Collins has not signed yet. RGQ says, Patriots, it's a first down in my heart. I wish they'd given it to him because it would have been more fun. It wasn't, but it would have been more fun with no real rooting interest in the game. It would have been pretty fun there. Cowboys from Clayton Lockhart as well. Colts, Cardinals, in it for the long haul says Thunder. You might get you might have 2 top 5 picks. And that's super fun because, the things you can do with those 2 top 5 picks certainly make it very, very interesting. Welcome into NFL Daily. I am Tom Downey. Today's show, a look at some of the early 2024 NFL draft risers. I could have done fallers, but I wanted to be positive here. Before we get to our list, if you want a new NFL mock draft from me next week, then share today's video. Help me show the bosses this is what you guys want. So share that video right now. First up on the list, who here thought it was going to be Shedeur Sanders? I think every person in the comments section saw this one coming. Sanders has been electric for Colorado. The over-under, like the analytics number says, they're going to win 2.5 games. They've already won 3. Sanders is a legitimate, not just Heisman contender, but a legit NFL quarterback. I'm not as high on him as like Mel Kiper is, but I like Sanders a lot at Jackson State. I said he was a real NFL prospect. I wanted to see how he did against Power 5 teams, D1 teams, and he's been FBS, I guess, technically, but he's been really good so far. Couple tough games coming up. Not going to have Travis Hunter, but Shedeur Sanders' early results have been trending towards that of a legitimate first-round pick. So what do you think ends up happening with Sanders? Will he be a first-round selection? Y for yes, N for no in the comments section. Now, there is a lot of quarterbacks who, in a great college football year for quarterbacks, who have impressed me. J.J. McCarthy was not good in week 3, but he was awesome the first 2 weeks. Still stock up. Quinn Ewers was doing great against Alabama. That's a big stock for him. Spencer Rattler, I think, might be answering some of those maturity questions, leadership stuff at South Carolina. He's been good. Tyler Van Dyke, I liked him not last year. Before that was terrible last year. Looks so much better now. Sam Hartman is old, but he's been really good for Notre Dame. Jaden Daniels making some plays. Michael Penix. There are still the big medical questions there. Overall, maybe some athleticism concerns, but He's been really good. I like Jordan Travis. It is a great group of college quarterbacks. Makes the game more fun to watch and also makes it more fun for the NFL draft. Jerzon Newton out of Illinois. Now, I had Newton in my first round initially, but he's becoming kind of more of a household name, so I want to throw him some more love here. 3 games played so far. 14% pressure rate is really good for a defensive lineman. He's also played a ton of snaps, by the way, which is a promising sign as far as I'm concerned. 3 TFLs, 2 sacks. I think it's a very good interior defensive line class. I think Newton leads the way on that front. Who is the biggest NFL draft riser so far? I got a bunch more names to get to, but I want to hear from you guys. So go sound off for me at the pinned comment. Biggest NFL draft riser thus far. Let's go to running backs here. A lot of names are going to go on through, but how about Audric Estime out of Notre Dame? I thought was being overlooked by a lot of people entering this season. 4 games, because remember they played in week 0, the Fighting Irish did. College football is awesome because you get guys averaging 8.3 yards per carry. Small sample size, but you give them the ball, you're just going to march down the field over and over again. I think Estime is a very talented runner. You've got guys like Braylon Allen kind of getting caught in the middle of like a bad scheme, etc. Estime is being featured in this Notre Dame offense. Denzel Burke, who I thought showed a lot of promises as a freshman, I thought regressed in his second year, has been awesome. Someone had asked in our early mock draft, where's Burke? I'm like, I have to see him play consistently. 3 games in, sample size and competition level question marks, he's been awesome. He's broken up as many passes as opposing receivers have caught on him. That does not happen very often. 5 of 17, 66 yards, 0 touchdowns, the 1 interception. He has been a legitimate number 1 corner for OSU. In my next mock draft, he will be in the first round. All right, let's go to Princely Umanmielen. It's an elite name out of Florida. The sack numbers don't pop off the screen, but a 16% pressure rate sure as hell does. Thought he played really well against Tennessee, relatively speaking, by the way. He's kind of stepped up against some better competition after he was good against Utah. Most of the team was not. I am curious if that can continue, but Princely offers plenty of ability as a pass rusher for Florida. With killer deals on last-minute tickets and their best price guarantee, you can stop worrying over tickets and get hyped for last-minute deals for the fun you'll have thanks to GameTime, the sponsor of today's show. You have images of seats before you buy them. It's 2 taps, and you are set when it comes to your tickets. They're sent directly to your phone, so you never have to dig through your email either. The GameTime guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find it in the same section and row for less, GameTime is going to credit you 110% of the difference. That is a fantastic deal. They're just going to give you extra money if it's not the best price. It's awesome there. You can use code NFL Chat for $20 off your first purchase. Simply download the GameTime app at gametime.co, create your account, and use that code NFL Chat. Click the profile button. It's the bottom right of the app itself. Hit redeem code, plug it in, $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but create your account and redeem code NFL Chat for $20 off your first purchase. Download GameTime today for last-minute tickets, the lowest price guaranteed. Links in the comments and the description of today's show. It's gametime.co, promo code NFL Chat. Let's stick on the defensive line. Now, David Vann is kind of a 3 or 5 technique at NC State's 3-4 scheme. A bit of a tweener, might raise some red flags, but the pressure rate is eye-popping. 17.2%. I thought week 2 college football, he was one of the best players overall. He's looked awesome so far this year. Another under-the-radar defensive name, Jaden Hicks out of Washington State, who I am taking a big step forward this year. And I'm a sucker for a safety. I won't apologize for it. 3 games played, got 18 tackles, 1.5 TFLs, half a sack, interception, 4 pass breakups. I would say at his best in coverage. It's a pretty solid safety class. Don't sleep on Jaden Hicks. After all, we're not going with only big names. That defeats the purposes of being a riser. Now, who is your favorite college football team to watch this year? It doesn't be your favorite team. What one have you enjoyed watching the most? I suspect we'll have more answers for Colorado than ever before, but sound off for me in that comments section. Justine Davis out of Wake Forest here. He has 4.5 sacks in 3 games. And they're not fluky. 16.5% pressure rate, 5.5 TFLs. Now, a lot of those came against Old Dominion, so asterisk it. But still, he's getting home, he's getting sacks. That is certainly valuable. Keon Coleman, the Michigan State transfer for FSU, showing why the quarterback play for Sparty sucked last year. Jaden Reed was a top, I think, 75 draft pick, somewhere in that range. Keon Coleman, especially back in week 1, was unguardable against LSU. 12 catches, 170 yards, 4 touchdowns. He's averaging 14.2 yards per catch. In an open battle for wide receiver 2, I think that Coleman, and we'll get to Malik Neighbors, by the way, in a little bit, are certainly among those in contention. Time for a name I promise you are not seeing anywhere else, but I will go slightly homer here on this one. That is Miami of Ohio wide receiver, my alma mater, Gage Larvadain, who was a transfer from southeastern Louisiana. Transfers on up. He is draft eligible, but by the way, could go back to school, and I would probably lean towards he would, but I want to show him some love today. These numbers are stupid. 17 catches, 432 yards, 4 touchdowns. He's averaging 25 yards per catch. He caught 1 pass against Cincinnati. They tried to lock it down after that. 79-yard score. Against UMass, 8 catches, 273 yards, and 3 touchdowns. He had a 99-yard catch and run, by the way. Against Miami of Florida, he had 8 catches for 80 yards. That's against a legitimate ACC contender in Miami. He went for 8 for 80. This is a dynamic football player who also offers some return ability. He did a little bit against UMass, 3 for 34 on the punt return side of it there. He is kind of skinny. You know, I like him from that perspective, but he's electric. He's only a junior technically, but he played basketball at Southeastern Louisiana too. Now making waves as one of the better MAC players this season. Who did I not put on the NFL Draft Risers list? There are absolutely several names that I did not get to. We'll get to some wide receivers that I didn't mention, so just be aware of that. We're going to get to that too. But who did I not put on this list? Sound off in the comments section. I think Malik Neighbors, I didn't want to go all QBs, all receivers, so I kind of went quick here. Malik Neighbors looks great. Torrey Horton impressed against Colorado in particular. Jalen McMillan, the other Washington receiver, is very good. Roman Wilson is part of a Michigan team that's going to have a ton of day 2 and day 3 draft picks. He's one of them. A.D. Mitchell from Texas, small sample size guy, but he's been big-time playmaker when he's gotten those targets. The pin poll of today's show, is Justin Fields the guy? Sound off in the comments section. 1 for yes, 2 for no. Then we'll get to FCX's super chat here momentarily. 1 for yes, 2 for no. It is a 52% yes, or sorry, 50% no. The no's are now winning. EPF's CX, were you high on Puka Nacua, or is it just the McVay scheme? In general, I do think we tend to underrate the impact coaching and scheme have. Very clear that Puka Nacua is in the perfect scheme to maximize him from this perspective. I had an Austin Collie comp on him, and I feel like if you'd kept Austin Collie healthy, he could have put up this type of production in the McVay scheme, right? Doesn't have, I'm looking at my notes here. I had a 5th/6th round grade on him. He was my 200th ranked player. So what was he drafted at? He was picked 216, I feel like. What do I have 216 in my mind? He was picked 177. So a little bit lower than where he went, but not by a lot. So I had him around where the Rams had him from that perspective. That's what I have my notes here. Mainly outside, some slot reps. Didn't have the best athletic testing. Kind of knocked him a little bit for me. Good vision. I think the catch and the yak stuff he's shown certainly checked out there on film. Medical was a big red flag, by the way, across the NFL. Concussed in his first Senior Bowl practice. Broke his foot in 2019. Toe injury kind of impacted his combine testing. He had a bunch of underneath stuff. It fits really well in McVay's scheme. So too low on him, but it's not like I hated him or anything there. I think the McVay scheme has helped him out, but not like to ding him at all. He's been a very good football player. No disrespect intended there. All right, folks, if you have not already, please make sure you are subscribed. YouTube.com/chatsportstv. Free videos, and we'll see you guys again all throughout the week.